Page 34, Love Me Tender. By the way, on page 31, I forgot to mention, they gave you a review of some notes, names, and the crotchet for the quarter note. I just call them quarter notes, and if you want to call them crotchets and minims or whatever, you'll have to do the translating there. In these videos, I just use what I'm accustomed to, and that's quarter note and half note and all that. Now, Love Me Tender. Let's look this over. Now we have two staves at the same time. Now we have the grand staff, finally. Remember I said about grand staff? Two staves, well, it can be three, but it's usually two staves, and it's got that curly brace in front of them, and the lines, the vertical lines, the measure lines or bar lines, go through all the way through both staves. That ties them together so you know you're going to read the stuff in both staves at the same time. That's a little, at first, I thought, back when I was first reading music, I thought, wow, I got to read all those notes in both of those staves at the same time? Yes, you do. But we work with you, and it comes. It really does. You get to the point where you're so accustomed to seeing certain patterns of things that happen, that happens. Right now it helps in that even though you got two staves going, there's only one note and one staff for the other at one time. So you're really just playing one hand at a time. You're just taking turns here. That's all. So let's look it over. Well, we have the grand staff. And we have a treble clef in the top staff and a bass clef in the bottom staff. And I say that because that's not necessarily always going to be the case. You don't have to have a treble clef in the top and a bass clef in the bottom. You could have treble clef in both, or you could have bass clef in both. Right now, for where we are in this learning and trip, our learning adventure, we're going to have treble clef in the top and bass clef in the bottom, but in the videos, I'm always going to point it out because this is one of the things I have to look at when I'm looking a piece over. Do the clef signs, what are they, and do they change? Because they can change in the piece anywhere, any number of times. It's just amazing the adventure you go through to learn a piece of music. You find out what's in it. Who knows? So, I mean, right now it's not going to change, but it could. So I go through that step. So we have the clef signs, and then 4/4 time, and you have it in both staves, of course, because the symbols in each staff are independent, they're separate. You can't give a symbol in one staff and have it apply to the other staff. Not allowed. No. Each staff has to have all its symbols that it needs. So there has to have a time signature in each staff. All right, 4 beats in a measure and a quarter note gets a count. Okay. Same as what we've had before. And we got quarter notes and half notes and whole notes. I don't see any dotted half notes anywhere, just that. It's 4 lines long, okay. So first, depending on the music, sometimes I just take one hand at a time and I make sure I can play it, and then I do the other hand and make sure I can play it. For this piece, as I say, it depends on the piece. You're only playing one hand at a time, so I'm going to go ahead and take both hands at the same time, because it's just one hand at a time. That made no sense, but you just follow along, it'll make sense. So where do the hands go? Well, they give you a chart. I don't like those charts. Let's look at the music and figure it out. The left hand starting on a G, here, below middle C, here. That puts the left hand here. The right hand in the second measure, or second bar, is that second finger on a D, here. That puts it here. That means we're in middle C position again. Big surprise. So let's just try it. And at first, you can forget the rhythm if you need to and just play the notes. Just make sure. And you should still be saying the names of the notes, even though they're giving them to you. I wish they wouldn't. You should know the names of these notes instantly. It's G, C, B, C, D, A, D, C, B, A. So you just drill yourself on the names of the notes. Then we can go back and put in the counting and the rhythm. And again, they're giving you the counting underneath. I think that's a little too much information. You're not always going to have that. That's really not part of the music. They're just helping you out. So you want to be able to count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So you go through and you play the whole thing out at your speed, not mine. You just whatever. Then you go back through and you get rid of the hesitations. If you hesitated anywhere, go over those little spots and make sure that the beat is a steady beat. You should be able to play this piece without looking at the keyboard too, eventually. You might have to look at first, it's up to you. Sometimes you have to look down and remind yourself where your hands are. You forget which finger is on such and such a note, I don't remember. You have to look, oh, okay, it's third finger. That's fine. It comes, just trust me, it comes in time. So look down if you have to remind yourself, but try and get to where you can play it without looking at the keyboard eventually. Now, there's words in the middle of the staff, and as usual, if you want to sing it, that's up to you. I don't sing in these videos. Singing just adds another, it makes it a little harder sometimes. But some people do enjoy playing and singing, so by all means, go for it if that's what you want to do. I would like to play it with you very slowly now to double check the notes and the rhythms. So let's try it together. I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, off.